let's assume that you have an installation, you have a single room self-contained to wire. So in this lesson, I'm just going to explain how you wire lighting system in an electrical installation. So now you have identified these 4 points as your lighting points for the wiring or for wiring the house. So this lamp, let's say it's placed at the porch, and then you have one lamp also at the hall, and then you have one also in the bedroom, and then one in the kitchen. Okay. Now, in wiring these lamps in the house, you can decide to choose or select a number of them to place on a particular breaker. And you can do that perhaps because you don't want all the lights to be on the same breaker. Okay, in doing that, there are two things to consider. The first thing to consider is whether all the lamps can be connected to one circuit, or if you can use one breaker for all the lights in the wiring. That is one thing you should consider. Now, the other aspect is, yes, all of them can be connected safely to one breaker, but I don't want to do it that way because in a case where a part of the circuit has a problem, I will still want to have light at other parts of the house. Okay, so the first thing you consider is safety. Will all 4 lamps, or can I safely connect all 4 lamps to one circuit? If yes, you are free to do that. Then the second thing is yes, but I don't want to do it. Okay, so that decision uh, is left to you to make. But in this wiring, I am going to wire all these lamps to one circuit. When I say one circuit, I mean that I am going to wire all these lamps to one breaker in the consumer unit. All right. So in the consumer unit, for a lighting system like this, here if you are using LED lamps, um, we can select 6-arm breaker. To protect this circuit. Now, we know the point that we are going to place our lights. Then the next thing is we would have to decide how we control these 4 lights. So in controlling these 4 lights, here we will provide a switch for each of them because they are not at the same place. So it is only appropriate that we provide a switch that will control this lamp. Then we provide another switch that will control this one. And then another switch that will control this one. And then a different switch that will also control this one. Okay. If we are going to control these lamps separately, like I said, then that will inform us to select the correct switch that we can use for that arrangement. So if you are going to do them separately, we can simply use a single pole switch or a one-gang, one-way switch to do that wiring. Okay? So the switching arrangement you want to provide for your circuit will determine the type of switches you use. Okay, so here we have a one gang one-way switch. So here will be L, here will be L1. And this will be switch for the port, so we can call it SP, switch for the port. Then we need another one also here that will control the lamp in the hall. So we can see SH, switch for the hall. Then we need another one here that will control the lamp in the bedroom. And then we need another one here that will control the lamp in the kitchen. Okay, so we have SP, switch for the porch. Then we have SH, switch for the hall. Then we have SB, switch for the bedroom. So SB, switch for the bedroom. And then we have SK, switch for the kitchen. Okay. So for our lighting circuit that we want to put on the same breaker, this is what we need. You need a switch, a lamp holder, or the lamp itself, and then a 6-arm breaker. Okay, because we are going to put all these lamps on the same circuit, this is what we have to do. We will pick a feed, or we'll pick light from the output side of the breaker, and then it will first come to the L terminal of one of the switches. So the closest switch to our breaker, which is obviously in the consumer unit, is the switch that is controlling the light in the porch. Okay? Yeah. Now, because we are controlling each of these lamps, or we are controlling all these lamps separately, each of the switches would have to get a feed that comes from the breaker. But in an installation, in a wiring, we don't necessarily have to pick all the feeds to all the switches from the breaker terminal. In order to economize the wires, you can take a loop from the connection you made to this lamp, to this switch, to the next one, and then you take another loop to the next one, another loop to the last one. Okay, so this is how it's going to be like. So we take a loop from here, and then we bring it here. Then we take another loop from here, to this switch in the bedroom. So this is L1. Sorry, this is L. This is L1. This is L. This is L1. So if you open your one gang switch, if it is a one gang, one-way switch, you will see the terminals marked L and then L1. So L receives the main cable or the feed that comes from the breaker in the consumer unit, and then L1 will now connect to the lamp, as I'll be showing soon. Okay, but we are left with another switch here. So we take the last loop from here to the last switch. So here also we have L and then L1. Okay, so we now have a feed to all the switches. Basically, what happens is that if this breaker is switched on and there is power available in the consumer unit, there is power available here, there is supply available here, there is supply available here, and there is supply available here. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is that we will have to wire the connection from the switch to the lamp. Okay. So our first lamp in the porch, we will connect another wire from L1 to one terminal of the lamp holder. So in the lamp holder, you will usually see 3 terminals. 2 are for connection of the supply, that is for the switch wire that comes from the switch, and then a neutral wire that will be coming from the consumer unit. And then the third one is for earth connection. Okay, so typically, when you take a lamp holder, this is the terminals you are going to see. You are going to see terminals like this. So here there are 1, 2, and then 3. So this 2 is what you connect for the supply. So this terminal is what we have connected from here. That goes to the L1 of the switch. And then this is the neutral that will be going to the consumer unit. So if we have an earth wire that is coming to this lamp holder or to this lamp here, then we'll be connecting that earth wire to this third terminal. All right. So L1 to lamp. Here also we do the same thing. L1 to lamp. Here too we do the same thing. Lamp L1. Then here also we do the same thing. Lamp L1. Now, the second terminal that is left here is what we are going to connect our neutrals to. So we take a neutral So we take a connection from the neutral bar or the neutral terminal in the consumer unit, and then we run it to the remaining terminals of the lamp. In a wiring like this, because all the lamps are in the same circuit, connected to one circuit breaker, we can just provide the same neutral and loop them throughout all the lamps. So we just take the neutral from here, we connect it here, and then we take a loop, we connect it here, then we take a loop, we connect it here, okay, so then we take another loop. Okay, so I think okay, so this should rather come here, and then we take a loop from here to the one in the bedroom, and then we take another loop from the bedroom to the kitchen. Okay, so here I'm doing this on board. In reality, this should be done in the ceiling. Okay, so that is usually done before the final ceiling work. So now we have our lighting circuit in the house or in that one bedroom apartment done. So if you have a one bedroom apartment, this is how you can go about the lighting system. Okay, now there is one thing left for us to do, and that is the connection of the earth wires or the earth cables. Okay, so this is where we will have to connect earth, or in a situation where the boxes that we are using for the switches are made of metal, then we'll have to connect all those metals or all those metal boxes to earth. And again, we also have to provide earthing connection, cables or earth wires at all the lamps. There are some lamps that come with metal bodies. The body of the lamp or the luminaire is made up of metal. So usually it could happen that the first time you are doing the wiring, you may not be using lamps that come with metals included. But it is possible that later on in the wiring, the lamps you are fixing may be replaced with other lamps that come with metal parts. Yes. And that is why it is important that whether you are using luminaires that have metal parts in the first place or not, you should provide earthing wires or earth cables at the lighting point anytime you are doing your wiring. Okay, so again, we will have to make a provision for that earth connection. So this is earth, and then let's use this as our earthing connection or earthing terminal in the lamps. Okay. So edge terminal, edge terminal, edge terminal, edge terminal. This could either be this terminal on the lamp holder or a terminal or an earth terminal connection or an earth connection point on the luminaire that you are wiring or you are connecting in the wire. Okay, so it is very simple. In doing that, we just take a connection from the consumer unit to the first edge terminal, then we take a loop to the second edge terminal, then we take a loop to the one in the bedroom, then we take another loop to the one in the kitchen. Okay, so we have edge here, then we loop to edge here, then we loop to edge here, then we loop to the last edge. So in this case, we are done with the lighting point. Now, if the boxes you use here, which is typically the case, most of the time when we are doing conduit wiring, the boxes we use sometimes are metal. So if those boxes are metal boxes, then we still have to connect egg, or we still have to egg them or connect egg to them. So in that case, let's say we have an earthing terminal here. So if you observe closely, when you buy those boxes, they have their own terminal connection, earth connection point. Okay? So this is the earth connection point of this box. This is the earth connection point. This is the earth connection point. It's usually located at one of the corners of the box. So if you look carefully, you'll see it. So we come here again, we take another egg, then we run it to the first box, and then we take a loop. We take a loop to the next box, then we take a loop to the next box, and then we take a loop to the last box. Okay? So this is how our wiring is going to be like. Now, before doing this wiring, you would have run pipes in which the cables or the wires will pass to each of the lighting points. And then also, you would have also installed conduits that will take or will receive wires that run from one switch to the other. Okay. So basically, this is how you can go about the wiring professionally in your single room apartment or one room self-contained. Okay. Okay, so at this point, if you have any question, you can ask. If you have any question, you can ask.
I'm trying to answer these people. How do I get answer? No, it doesn't mean I can't answer. Doesn't mean I can't answer the channel.
Okay, so from what we have done briefly, if there is any question, you can type your question. You can type your question at the chat section, so we see.
Okay. Hello? Stream ends. Stop fan. Top fans. Top fans. There's only three. This one. This one. Cancel. Are you sure you want to stop stream?